The classic of mountains and seas. Mountains Classic. The Western Mountains. Part 1.
Snakes have no feet. They slither. The ancient Favi, however, had 6 feet. They were augmented by 4 small wings clustered just behind its ferocious head. How the strange apparition moved remains a mystery. But at each miraculous advent on Taihua Shan, now known as Yuehua Shan, severe drought fell upon the land below. Legend has it that during the reign of King Tang, founder of the Shang dynasty, this oddly hybridized creature appeared on or above Yangshan and brought forth 7 years of calamitous drought. In southern mountains, we were introduced to the Wu bird, whose appearance foreshadowed severe droughts that lasted 3 months. A mere fraction of the severity brought about by the Favi. A case of a minor fiend in the presence of a major one. Deep in the remote past, Fu Yu Shan, a mountain rich in natural resources, existed in the southwest corner of today's Haoyang city in Shanxi province. Copper was mined on the southern slopes, iron on the north. The fruit of a tree called the wenying, which grew in profusion, was a known cure for deafness. Beyond that, eating a weed familiarly called ginger grass ensured increased mental acuity. This sacred mountain was home to a wild creature with the unusual name of Kunglong, onion deafness. A bighorn sheep with incredible leaping ability whose distinguishing feature was a ruff that turned uncommonly bright at times, as if dyed by the berries of the ginger grass. Its horns were a valued commodity, but obtaining them required a mountaineer who had both keen skills with a bow and arrow and nerves of steel. Fu Yu Shan was also the nesting place for a marvelous bird known as the min. Its red beak and clusters of red feathers on the tip of its tail were all that distinguished it from the common kingfisher. People fortunate enough to have caught one and kept it at home were assured of fire protection, a boon for those ancients who lived in houses made mainly of wood. Its call, either in the wild or in cages, has never been described. Though unlike the thin whistle of a kingfisher, it was likely something louder and more urgent to warn of fire. Killing and eating a min was taboo for obvious reasons. The headwaters of the Qi River were somewhere on mythical Yutze Shan, in what is now the Linear County region of Shanxi province. Copper mines were said to dot the northern slope, while exquisite Yingheng jade was mined on the opposite side of the mountain. A strange apparition lived on both sides of Yutze Shan, an ape-like tree dweller called the Xiao, whose powerful long arms allowed it to fend off predators by hurling objects. Its unerring aim kept animals and humans at bay. Its name, implying clamor, could indicate that it made its presence known with loud screeches. A mountain is intimidating by its nature, but there was one whose name, Lord of Heaven, inspired awe and trepidation. Of course, you would not find a Lord of Heaven anywhere on the mountain, though many varieties of trees and plants flourished there. Eating one species of otherworldly grass known as wild ginger made horses run faster and shrank tumors in humans. This was the domain of the Zibian, a canine capable of climbing trees. Sleeping on the pelt of one kept away venomous insects and evil spirits. It was such an elusive creature that even the Duke of Qin had no luck capturing one, and was reduced to slaughtering any large dog that bore a resemblance in an attempt to keep insects at the city gate at bay. Somehow, this preposterous ruse worked, setting the stage for the killing of dogs and spilling of their blood to ward off unwelcome events. A practice passed down through the ages. This convention served people as a means of ridding ghosts from their lives, all in the name of an uncommon canine that could not be caught. Leaving Lord of Heaven, One must travel nearly 400 li before reaching the headwaters of two rivers. The Chang and the Tu. On Pt.1, a densely forested mountain with laurel trees. The mining of silver and gold proceeded alongside that of mispickel, an arsenic sulfide used in herbal medicines and rat poison. Running wild through the forest was a stately, fleet-footed, white-tailed deer called the yingru, whose tail more closely resembled a horse's and whose front legs ended in human hands with long, tapered fingers, while uncloven hooves tipped the rear legs. Even more striking was what can only be called a headdress, consisting of 4 distinct horns with many pointed offshoots. Like horned animals everywhere, it was a favorite target of hunters, though its speed usually kept it safe. Huangshan, not the famous mountain of today but one with the same name, stood 180 li west of Pt.1 and was devoid of all flora except bamboo, which grew in profusion and swayed gracefully in daily breezes. High in the mountain, the river Pan began its western flow to the Qi River, sending pieces of jade coursing noisily along the way. Observing from the bamboo groves was a fierce, black-pelted bovine called the min, smaller than today's oxen. Its size enabled it to weave its way through dense stands of bamboo, while its curved horns and large, piercing eyes kept predators at bay. The provocatively named Nachwang, woman's bed, Shan, once stood somewhere south of Shanxi Province's Longxian, its dense forests home to a fabulous phoenix-related bird known as the luan, resembling a pheasant but with dazzling magenta-tipped feathers. Its most notable feature appears to have been its voice, which produced a crisp sound like the peal of struck bell, but modulated in the 5 ancient musical tones. Everything about the luan proclaimed propitious tidings and, like the phoenix, brought peace and goodwill wherever its flight took it. When the Duke of Zhou suppressed the Wu Geng rebellion, he reclaimed the throne and extended his territory through a victory in the Eastern expedition. As he was about to relinquish the throne to his nephew, a luan flew over the Zhou capital of Jiajing from the west. What followed was the reign of Chenkang, when the world was at peace and punishments were not used for more than 40 years. Fish out of water perfectly describes the Wenyao. At least half the time, the rare sightings of this unique creature, endowed with both fins and feathers, occurred near Taikishan in present-day Gansu province in the far west, dwelling in the headwaters of the Guan River. The carp-like Wenyao, whose scarlet lips accented its foot-long white body and dark green scales, lived in the Western Sea during the day and traveled in schools through the air to the Eastern Sea at the night, returning at dawn. The vast distances seemed to take no visible toll on the otherwise aquatic Wenyao. According to Dongfang Suo of the Han, not all returned from their daily flight. Some settled in a lake in the far reaches of the Eastern Sea, where they grew to a length of 8 feet or more. Even those were seldom seen by humans. But when they were, bountiful harvests followed. Their meat was said to be sour with a slightly sweet aftertaste. The Qin dynasty's encyclopedic Master Lu's Spring and Autumn Annals cites the Wenyao as having a taste to satisfy the gourmet and the potential to cure insanity. These qualities limited the proliferation of this harmless creature. There was, legend has it, an earthly garden created by the Lord of Heaven on Haijiangshan, 320 li west of Taikishan. A supernatural being called a Yingshao tended the garden, with an equine body and irregular feline markings down its sides. It had a humanoid face and a pair of feathered appendages on a neck covered by curly black hair. Though the Yingshao was in charge of the garden, it did not spend all its time there, choosing to spread its wings and soar the skies of the wide world, its long tail flaring out behind it. It was likely disseminating the Lord of Heaven's latest mandates. Yet it was reputed to possess a surprisingly harsh voice, sounding more like a creaky winch than a welcoming call from on high. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support. If you liked my content, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. Thanks you so much.